Man meets his daughter for the first time days before he passed. Carol Sullivan was the only girl in a family of 10. She was the center of everyone's attention and pampered the most among her siblings. Carol has always looked at her father as her superhero. He had the strongest bond with him. Carol assumed that she knew everything about her dad and was never expecting to find some very revealing and shocking details about him later in life. Her family kept her away from all the negativity of the world. She was the type of girl nobody messes up with, thanks to her 7 brothers. Carol's parents used to spend a hectic day where they worked at the office, did home chores, and spent time with their children. Everything was going well until the day big revelations were made. Carol has always been responsible and understandable towards everyone in her family. She could tell who is stressed, who is overjoyed, and who is hiding something. At times, she was confused after seeing her dad's strange behavior. She would try to cheer him up and change his mood, but it never worked. It felt like something was eating him from inside. Locked up in his room, nobody knew what was the reason behind such behavior. It was strange coming from him, as he was always known for his jolly nature. His friends and family never tried to poke him for his weird nature, but Carol always tried to cheer him up and understand his swings, but to no avail. Being the closest to his dad, Carol was sure that he wouldn't keep secrets from her. Carol had an ordinary childhood, but her school life was extraordinary. Her teachers were impressed by her brilliance and creativity. She was a mingler and had a lot of friends because of her kind and humorous nature. However, there was something unusual with one girl at her school. This girl always acted mysteriously around Carol. At first, she assumed that her introverted personality could be a reason. She didn't hang out with anyone, but Carol was able to pierce through the veil, and they soon became good friends. The girls became study partners and would spend a lot of time together at the library. Their friendship never exceeded the walls of the school. Carol glorified her father, and like most of the people, her idol was just another human whose life was not always going so smoothly. The girl who thought she knew her dad realized one day that she has never truly known her father. There was a drawer in the study table that her father never allowed anyone to touch. While everyone appreciated his privacy, Carol was tempted to check what was so important to be kept hidden in the drawer. She wanted to know what was troubling her father this much, but she never got the chance to. Carol grew up to become a beautiful young lady. She married the guy who loved her the most. Even after getting married, her dad was still her favorite man, with whom she shared everything. Carol stopped thinking about her father's issue when she got indulged in her own life. Time ran quickly and Carol never got a chance to check on the drawer. Once Carol got busy with her kids and husband, she almost forgot about her father's grief. Her father, on the other hand, turned worse. He used to stay alone most of the day. He got sick and was confined to a bed rest for a long while. His health was deteriorating day by day, and everyone assumed that it was because of his old age. Carol stayed with her mother, while her brother took their father to the doctor. He called to drop the big bomb to her. Her father was suffering from leukemia. After a few advanced tests, doctors said that Mr. Clifford was at the last stage of leukemia and his days were numbered. Carol was staying with her parents as she wanted to help her mom and spend the final days her father had by his side. But the home didn't remind her of childhood anymore, as her dad was on the verge of death. Sorrow and grief were overflowing every corner of the house. One day, when Carol was looking for books to read, her eyes stopped at the drawer she was given strict instructions to stay away from. She has always wanted to know what was hidden inside it. This time, as no one was there, she decided to take a step ahead and finally know what the famous drawer has always kept secret. She knew her dad wouldn't like it at all, but she did it anyway. It was about time they finally uncovered what was kept there for so long. She thought it would be some ancestral thing that his father didn't want to show anyone as long as he lived, but what she found was way beyond the imaginable. The drawer had only one carefully folded paper inside, a paper with many truths. By the time Carol read what was in it, she was crying and she could now understand her dad's miserable condition for these long years. The secret her father kept from everyone was the biggest thing for the Hawkins family. Carol drove straight to the hospital to get her answers straight from her father. She knew her father's serious condition, but she also knew that this secret would remain a secret forever unless she asked him at the moment. The paper in question was a letter written by someone named Kathy to Mr. Clifford. The woman mentioned in the letter that she didn't have any siblings and was raised all alone. Kathy wrote that her mother brought her up alone and told her anything about her father. Every time Kathy asked about her father, her mother would start crying. Years went by without knowing anything about her father, until the day she got a hold of her birth certificate. Mr. Clifford Hawkins was written in the place of father's name. Carol told her father that she knew about the letter and wanted to know if it was true or not, if Kathy was his daughter or not. Mr. Clifford said that he couldn't say it for sure as the mother's name was nowhere mentioned in the paper. Carol decided to call the number that was mentioned. Carol recalls thinking, "He's not going to survive. If this is his daughter, we have to do something about it." She took her dad's permission. Carol asked her father, "There's a phone number. Do you mind if I ring her?" She called and realized the essential discovery was yet to be made. A lady picked up the call and introduced herself as Kathy. Carol wanted to confirm if she wrote the letter. Kathy told her that she was the one who wrote it herself. Kathy told her that she never heard from him. After a few minutes of conversation, Kathy interrupted Carol in between and asked her name. With a momentary pause, they both understood they have known each other for years. Kathy recalls, "A cold shiver went all down my body." She said to Carol, "I think I know who you are. I think we were in school together." For Carol, it just felt like a dream when her regular life stopped all of a sudden. She remembers, "I just couldn't believe it. I got off the phone, and I was just ecstatic. They were still the same people, one an introvert and another one an extrovert. To their surprise, they stayed just a few miles away. We lived just around the corner from each other," told Kathy. They attended the same school and have been friends for a long time back. Kathy further added, "I asked my nanny before she died. She said, 'Ask your mom,' but no one would tell me. It was like a big family secret." After seeing her birth certificate, she was glad that she sent a letter to every person named Clifford Hawkins. No one replied to her, and she just ended up thinking that the name on her certificate was fake. When Kathy understood that Mr. Clifford was indeed her father, after knowing his health, she immediately wanted to visit him and spend the remainder of his days by his side. Kathy had to inform her family, and she couldn't keep it a secret anymore. No one believed her at first. They never heard anything about it from their mother, and everyone was doubtful. Kathy's brothers investigated Carol and her family, but everything seemed to be factual. Kathy was overwhelmed with the idea of finally being able to meet her long-lost dad. Carol decided to take her dad's permission before Kathy planned to visit the hospital. Mr. Clifford agreed, and the day arrived when this father-daughter were to reunite. Kathy recalled, "I just cuddled him and gave him a kiss. He's so nice. Also, Carol's mom has accepted me into the family." Within hours, Kathy was one of the family members for the Hawkins family. Carol just got what she always wished for, a sister. Carol and Kathy were so good together that nobody could say that they just met a day back. They seemed like sisters and acted like sisters. Clifford, their father, was the happiest to see his daughter's amazing bond. But he didn't have much time left. 3 weeks after their first meeting, the 84-year-old Mr. Clifford died. Carol said he would have liked to have a relationship with Kathy even earlier, which was very sad for both of them. Even though Kathy didn't spend too much time with her father, she was glad that before died he finally met her. Kathy further added, "I say it's a miracle, because how did I find my dad just before he died? I would never have found him, and I never would have known him." Everyone feels that this truth was revealed so that Mr. Clifford's soul could rest in peace. Kathy tells, "I didn't give up. I knew I had a dad, and I found my dad. It's never too late." Her story is nothing short of a miracle, but the timings restores people's faith in destiny. This whole chain of incidents eventually brought the ladies together in their old days. "I've always wanted a sister. I was always looking for a baby sister somewhere over the horizon, and I found one. And it was beautiful, really, Coral explains. Kathy was a dream come true for her. And the coincidence that they've been together in the same school gave them common memories that they can share.